Requirement of good fuel. Now, what is the requirement of any good fuel? Fuels are three categories: solid, liquid, and gaseous. Solid fuel like coke, coal, charcoal, these are solid. Liquid, petrol, diesel, kerosene. And gaseous, coal gas, water gas, producer gas, CBM, coal based methane. CBM, you know, CBM, coal based methane. So it is trapped inside the coal. That is called coal based methane. CBM is available at Durgapur. So, and coal mining, wherever there is a coal mining, Taniganj, Bokaro, so those places, wherever there is a coal available, so in the coal based mines, there is some gas trapped, that is called CBM. So, there is also a gas. So, different type of such fuels, all are usually fossil fuels. Mostly they are all fossil fuels and they are non-renewable. Why? Because these fuels are produced by tremendous temperature and pressure variation under the geosyncline or tectonic plate movement. So there is a huge pressure onto some whole forest maybe went under the ground. Not a particular animal or particular plant. The whole forest went under the ground and crushed by immense temperature and pressure and converted to this fossil fuel, coal and petrol. Now, why coal and why petrol? That depends on temperature, pressure, and different other conditions. Because the whole thing is a forest. The whole forest, there is a huge amount of biomass. So, because of variation of temperature, pressure, etc., so yes, sometimes you are getting coal, sometimes you are getting petroleum. Now, these solid fuel, there are some advantages. They are not, they don't catch fire so easily. So, fire hazard is less. Liquid, if you comparatively. So, liquid, it is calorific value is better compared to solid. Gaseous also good calorific value. So, solid will have a minimum calorific value among all the three. Solid, liquid, gas, if you compare, solid will have minimum calorific value, liquid will be good calorific value, and as well as gaseous fuel also will have a good amount of calorific value. Now, calorific value is a very important property for a fuel. So, because what is the objective of a fuel? You burn the fuel, you get energy, that energy you are utilizing for some purpose. That may be for industry, cottage industry, that household, anywhere. So, whenever you burn fuel, that means you have some tendency to get that energy utilized for some purpose. Unnecessarily nobody is burning. Okay. So, that is the purpose. So, we need to get heat. By burning fuel, we are supposed to get the heat. Now, whenever you burn, lot of pollution is created. So, solid, liquid, gas, all will produce pollution because all are fossil fuels. But solid will give maximum air pollution problem. Why? Because solid will give lot of smoke, lot of impurity, lot of smoke. कोयला जलाने से कितना धुआं होता है. So, अच्छा, so that's why it is not at all advisable, desirable. But the problem is, if you don't have alternative. Like in India, we have huge coal. So you cannot just ignore coal and go for others, alternative. So liquid fuel, we have we have lot of limitation. We don't have liquid fuel in India. Liquid fuel is available, means petroleum. It is available in the OPEC country. OPEC country means Arabian country. So there are some union made by some Arabian country that is called OPEC. So they are supplying petroleum, they are selling into the whole world. So, and even America has got certain resources, but India don't have at all any petroleum resource. Very limited, very limited. It's maybe there like Bombay High and all, but very limited, that you know. So, and gaseous fuels also sometimes we get here and there, but the problem is gaseous fuels always may not be economically viable to take out from the ground. If the small quantity of gas is trapped somewhere, it is not economically viable. You cannot dig it out. Simple. Okay. So that's why still we Indian are dependent on coal, because thermal power plant is utilizing millions of tons of coal every day, and huge quantity of pollution is created by that coal burning. Okay. So slowly we will try towards some betterment. What is the betterment? Less pollution, more efficiency. So you can have lot of alternatives like solar. So solar also there is problem. What is the problem for solar? If it is a rainy day, if it is a there is sufficient fog in the atmosphere in the winter season, in the rainy season, we don't get sufficient production. What about night time? Solar energy you have to store in the battery, but battery is not reliable. Battery life is not so high good. Battery cost is very high. So all these complications are there, all these limitations are there. Okay. So regarding solar सुनने में तो बहुत अच्छा है, but practically when you approach, practically when you try to use, there are a lot of limitations. Have you seen so many solar cars going in the road? No. Why not? People know that solar you can put panel on the car and you can run the car. सुनने में अच्छा है, but कोई कर रहा है? Why not? Why not? Because practical viability. If you put some solar panel onto the car, onto the bonnet of the car, particularly, in Indian condition, the road condition, the situation in the locality, it may be damaged. And see, lot of problem. India is a poor country. If you keep that car somewhere, one panel may be stolen. Practical problem, and that happens. If you keep it somewhere, just under lock and key, the whole car is stolen. So if you keep some panel on the outside, then a new category of thief will be generated. Okay, नया चोर बन जाए ज़्यादा कार है, क्योंकि if you can open and sell it in the market freely, and खोलना it will be easy to open, because वो तो बाहर है ना, अंदर नहीं, तो खोल के बेच देंगे ना. That type of problem is there into country like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, because lot of poor people there, and that tendency there, that mentality. So that's why it is not becoming popular. This is one problem I told you. There are so many other problems. Initial investment cost is so high. Okay, so into our this Vidyasagar Bhavan building at the rooftop, you have seen the solar panels are there. You've seen, visited, na? I think there is a visit also. Visited in the top rooftop someday. গিয়েছিলে কখনো? আচ্ছা. There are a lot of solar panels. So the costing was 14 lakh without battery. Okay, how much is the capacity? 25 kilowatt. Okay, nowadays price has reduced a bit. Government is also giving subsidy. Recently I inquired, for 10 kilowatt they are telling, giving the quotation 5 lakh, and that 5 lakh they are giving, out of that government will give subsidy per kilowatt 18,000. That means 10 kilowatt is 1,80,000. So 3,20,000 you will have to spend, and government is giving 1,80,000. So that is that's calculation. So why I am telling all this, you have to have some general idea, actual idea, that solar. So when you bolte ho na solar. So see, these are the pros and cons. Solar will come maybe in future, but still now it is not a remedy. It's not a solution. With a lot of difficulty it is running. Maybe in future it will come. Suppose your solar panel, you have placed solar panel into your rooftop, and after that it's not working. It will be in trouble. Immediately you don't get mechanic. After the guarantee period is over, that AMC will be costly, because in that after that your solar panel will be damaged sooner. Initially in 1 year, 2 year, 3 year it will run very fine, and after that you have to wash the solar panel every week with water. So that much of water is waste, and water is scarce nowadays, है ना? पानी बहुत फ्री है क्या? नहीं है. पानी अभी खरीद रहे हैं हम लोग. We are buying water. 135 rupees per month we are spending. Okay, for us, I am telling about us. So this is the thing. Means water also you cannot waste that way. Every week you have to wash all the panels. Otherwise the efficiency will go down. So this is regarding solar. What other alternative we have? Apart from solar, gaseous fuel, CNG, LNG. CNG, LNG is also fossil fuel. Don't talk about CNG, LNG. They are also fossil fuel. Okay, gaseous fuel may be creating a little bit less pollution, but still it is creating pollution. Atomic energy cannot use into car, vehicle, into our households. That you have to place somewhere quite away from the locality. Still, if there is an accident, the huge area will be devastated entirely. And it is never foolproof, never. Fukushima Daiichi, Chernobyl disaster, if you remember these things in mind, you will never recommend nuclear power. So what is the way out then? Best idea so far, I think, just electricity of water producing hydrogen gas. So hydrogen gas cylinder, okay, and this electricity of water will be done by solar. It will be a centrally located system, not by individuals. It will be a centrally located huge system which will produce lot of hydrogen, and hydrogen will be supplied just like a kitchen gas. With that hydrogen, by catalytic platform, you can convert into electricity, not into heat. Don't burn hydrogen, rather convert this into some electrode surface, producing it into catalytic surface, producing it into water and energy. That means burning, but in a different way. You are producing hydrogen plus oxygen equal to water, but not actually burning, but rather you are producing electricity. So that is called fuel cell. No, by the way, main problem, where do you have the nuclear fuel supply? Why do you have the nuclear fuel supply? First you tell me that. In India, forget about other country. I'm not interested. Because I am Indian, I want to be more concerned about India. America क्या कर रहा है वो देखे मुझे फायदा नहीं है, मेरा फायदा नहीं है भाई. So in India, how do you get the fuel supply? Main problem. Forget about all the other problems. How we get the supply? We will have to buy it from America. Once we are habituated with that one, America will raise the price enormously because we are dependent. Okay. Initially, we will make treaty and all, and this the Manmohan government made the treaty, and that's why Manmohan government failed. জানো তো Manmohan government কেন ফেল করে গেল? আমেরিকার সঙ্গে ট্রিটি করে, ফাইন, কিন্তু আলটিমেটলি কি হলো, লাভটা কি হলো, কতটুকু তুমি fuel supply? After this, they will become monopoly. Okay, the whole thing will become monopoly, and you will not get the supply. So what we have in India is coal. We don't have nuclear, the fuel supply, pitch blende, we don't have. We don't have petroleum products sufficient. Then what we have? Coal. That's why still we are using coal. 80%. Nowadays, total 50% only we are depending on coal. Others, we have diesel, we have other so many alternatives together around 48%. And 52% still we are dependent on coal. But yeah, I think it's a already situation is much better, because earlier we were 80% dependent, 80% we are depending on coal. Now we are depending on only 52%. So a lot of improvement. That much I can say, because alternative has come enormously. Particularly nowadays, government side, private sector, everyone is trying to go into other. Okay. So what are the major requirement of a good fuel? Moderate ignition temperature. What does it mean? Means it should not be very high temperature, ignition temperature, so that ignition will be very difficult. It should not have a very low ignition temperature, so that it will catch fire by itself. With a little bit of friction of air, it will catch fire, so that it will give hazard. So it should be moderate. Next is low ash content. So solid fuel, this is the main problem. We have a high ash content. Liquid and gaseous fuels will have a zero ash content. You will have some gas. If you burn some petrol, diesel, kerosene, or if you burn some gaseous fuels, what is the residue? The residue is some amount of gas itself. Burn the gas, you get the gas. So that will not be deposited somewhere. Disposal problem not there. Okay. So and gas treatment is easier. Gas treatment is easier. You can make some tower and pass the gas through the tower, like lime tower, and pass your gas mixer after burning through that lime tower. It will absorb all the acidic gases, and most of the gases are acidic. SO2, NO2, CO2, they are all acidic. So neutral gas only limited one, NO and CO. These two are neutral. Oxygen, nitrogen also will be there along with that. They are all neutral, but maximum the flue gas. Flue gas means after burning what you get is called flue gas. This flue gas, if you pass through tower, carbon dioxide, SO2 and NO2 all are absorbed. That's the best part of it. Treatment is easier. Low ash content is always desirable because ash is creating lot of nuisance, is creating trouble. So minimum ash content is always better. Low moisture content should not be very high because moisture reduces the calorific value. Moisture means water. So water whenever evaporates, it will always take latent heat, reduce the calorific value. It will reduce the calorific value, and that's why it is not desirable. So moisture content should be low. Why not zero? Zero will have trouble. If you have zero moisture content, then the dust will float in the air enormously. Ample quantity of dust will be there. It is also not desirable. It will give some other breathing trouble. Okay, dust particle, SPM, suspended particulate matter. That's also should be minimized. That's why low moisture content is okay, but zero moisture content is also not good. Some moisture should be there. No harmful combustion products. Harmful combustion products like NO2, SO2, these things should be less. Achha, if you burn coal, how much sulfur present in the coal, do you know? Up to 5%. So whenever you burn coal, along with CO2, you are getting some amount of SO2 also. How much? 5%. So that SO2 will also increase the calorific value because burning sulfur into SO2, that will also give some exothermicity, exothermic reaction. So that will also add some calorific value. But it is a polluting gas. SO2 is a polluting gas. That's why it is not desirable. So sulfur content should be low. Okay, but you cannot avoid sulfur. Sulfur will be there in coal. So that's why whenever you burn coal, you have to accept it that you are burning some sulfur also. So obviously there will be harmful gases. So this is not a quality of a good fuel. Good fuel means low ash content, low moisture content, high calorific value and moderate ignition temperature, and as well as no harmful gas. But it means minimization of pollution. Another problem, important point, combustion control. What does it mean? You have to have a switch on off system. If you burn coal, you cannot make it off. Once it is burning started, you have seen कोयला का ओवन देखा है ना, ओवन तो can you switch off? पानी डाल देंगे. There is also problem. If you pour some water into that huge furnace, huge amount of steam will come out surrounding the area. People will be affected. That steam with a very high temperature steam, if comes and it will affect so many people nearby. That is number one. Number two, it will crack the furnace. Because the imbalance of temperature, somewhere hot, somewhere cold, there will be too much of stress generated. So your furnace will burst out. So you cannot switch it off. Okay, what to do then? So coal furnace, this is the main problem. Starting and getting stopped, both are equally difficult. Starting is also difficult. When you stack and start it, pollution is enormous. Running is all right. If it is running continuously is all right. But starting, whenever you are charging a new furnace, that pollution is very high. Okay. So that is another problem. And whenever you want to make it off, you have to stop the supply of coal, that's all. So it will take some time to make it off. That you have to do sometimes because you have to clean the total furnace sometimes. Maintenance. Maintenance necessary. At least after a few months you have to go for a maintenance. So why maintenance required? Because you are burning coal, so ash will be produced. What you are doing with the ash? Ash gets stacked here and there. So it may be dumped at the bottom. So it is getting filled. So you have to remove the ash. Na? So nobody can approach there because temperature is very, very high. Okay, so you have to sometimes for maintenance purpose you have to make it off. If you can remove the ash also, still cleaning inside also will be required. Cleaning of the walls of the furnace will be required. So for that you have to make it off. So these things clumsy. These things are clumsy. Okay. Liquid fuel, another problem. Clogging. Clogging means blocking of the nozzle. You are spraying the fuel now. Liquid you are usually spraying some jet with some jet. Liquid fuel is you are using liquid jet. That may be petrol, maybe kerosene, diesel, all the cases. Like pump stove, there is a nozzle, and you will have to pin that. Na? So the same thing you will have to do everywhere. Cleaning is required. Okay. So combustion control is very important. Then ease of availability. The fuel must be available. You cannot carry it from Tamil Nadu to West Bengal. You cannot carry it from Nagpur to Kolkata. Practically difficult, very, very difficult, because the transportation cost will be enormous. And sometimes because of bad road condition, it may be stopped somewhere, jam and all these things. So it may not be supplied in proper time. So these are the ease of availability is must. That's why whatever is available, people are using that. Like here at Durgapur, you have seen fire bricks you have seen. So even in the household, people are using fire bricks. Not fire brick, that ash, the brick made of ash, coal burning ash. So out of that, they are making some type of brick, and that brick is black color or dark grey color, right? Dark grey or black type color. So that you can find at Durgapur, but cannot see nearby Kolkata. Because why? Because this is available here. You cannot carry this all the ash all together from Durgapur to Kolkata. It's not possible. Because it's not economical. Economical not viable. So that's why ease of availability means local things should be there. You cannot transport. না ওটা ভালো, ওই ইটও ভালো, কোনো প্রবলেম নেই, কিন্তু সাপ্লাই নেই ওদিকে। এখানে আছে, এখানে ইউজ করছে, ওদিকে নেই, ওদিকে লোকে মাটি ব্যবহার করে। সো সেই জন্য লাল ইট, আর এখানে দেখো কালো ইট। আচ্ছা, ইজ অফ স্টোরেজ অ্যান্ড ট্রান্সপোর্ট, হ্যাঁ ওটা তো আগেই বলে দিলাম, ওর সঙ্গে হয়ে গেছে। Easy to transport, convenient to store without any risk of spontaneous explosion. Petrol and gas, storage of both the thing are very, very dangerous. If you store some petrol at your house, that is very risky. Why? Because it evaporates, it will fill the room and it may catch fire. If you use gas, kitchen gas, we are always concerned. Something may leakage, dangerous. Something may happen, and actually happening. It's not that, may not be very frequently, but still it is happening. So risk is there. Acha, hydrogen we are talking about na, in future we will be using hydrogen. For hydrogen also there are two problems. One, maybe so many others, but right now I remember two problems. One is it may catch fire so easily. Fire hazard is very high for hydrogen. Number two, hydrogen is so light gas balloon, it will float, it will go up. So if you take your hydrogen cylinder into car, center of gravity will go a bit up, so your car will not be very stable, it may tilt, গাড়ি উঠে যেতে পারে। কি ভুল বলছি, কথা বুঝতে পারছো? হাইড্রোজেন গ্যাস ইজ লাইট না, হাইড্রোজেন গ্যাস ইজ ভেরি লাইট না, হোয়াট এভার হাই প্রেশার ইউ মেক ইট, স্টিল hydrogen gas is so light that your center of gravity of the car will be comparatively higher. লিকুইড হাইড্রোজেন কী করে করবে? কত টেম্পারেচার নামাতে হবে জানো? শুধু প্রেশার দিয়ে লিকুইড হাইড্রোজেন হবে না তো, তোমার তো টেম্পারেচার কমাতে হবে। আর সেই টেম্পারেচার কমানোর কন্ডিশনে তুমি গাড়ির মধ্যে কী করে রাখবে? প্র্যাকটিক্যালি ইম্পসিবল, তাই না? So liquefaction of hydrogen is not possible, liquefaction of air also not possible. You have to only take in the compressed condition, compressed hydrogen, compressed oxygen. And air is also not a good idea, oxygen is better, okay, because combustion should be perfect, otherwise you can burn easily in air, but whenever you want electricity, then purity is must. So hydrogen and oxygen both should be in cylinder, one cylinder hydrogen, another cylinder oxygen. So practically that will be also costly idea, hydrogen plus oxygen both you have to buy, both two cylinders. And apart from cost, there are two other things. One is it is lightweight, that's why center of gravity will be a bit higher, which is actually dangerous. And number two, that means you have to make the car heavier, okay, so that center of gravity problem will not come. And number two, this hydrogen leakage, whatever precaution you take, leakage is very common, because hydrogen gas is so small molecule, you can pass through very small orifice. So gasket, rubber gasket, whatever you use, but still leakage, chances of leakage is much higher compared to a gas cylinder. किचन गैस सिलेंडर उसके तुलना में इसमें रिस्क ज़्यादा है हाइड्रोजन. Cost of production should be low. For solid fuel. For solid fuel, cost of production is low. Cost of production for solid fuel is low. Because you just dig it out from the ground. মাটি থেকে উঠিয়ে নাও খালি গর্ত করে. কে করছি? ECL, Coal India, they are doing that. But that is also not very cheap. You have to make lot of big machines for digging the ground. So many people are working there. খরচা আছে. Possess moderate ignition temperature. Solid fuel always will possess moderate ignition temperature. Comparatively low, high, sorry, not low, high. High ignition temperature. Coal will not catch fire so easily, na? With a matchsticks you cannot catch fire into coal. Deslike কাটিলে হবে না. So solid fuel disadvantage, as content high, heat is wasted during combustion. First point already I told you. Second point, heat is wasted during combustion. If heat is produced, that heat will be dissipated in the surrounding. That you cannot avoid entirely. পুরো বন্ধ করতে পারবে না. You cannot entirely do it, because heat is whatever insulation you give, still some amount of heat will be dissipated. Clinker formation. Clinker formation means chunk. Small piece of coal will be joined together forming a huge lump. Dala পাকি যায়, সেটা বলছি ক্লিঙ্কার. আচ্ছা, combustion operation cannot be controlled easily. Coal, starting the coal and starting the burning of coal and making it off difficult, na? That one I am talking. So controlling is not easy. Not only that, not only starting and switch on off. If you want to rise the temperature and lower the temperature, how do you do that? Difficult, na? কয়লা দিয়ে কি করে বাড়াবো কমাবো? ক্লামজি হবে কি? খুব সহজ নয় তো. বেশি কয়লা দিয়ে দাও, একটু বাড়বে, কয়লাটা একটু কমিয়ে দাও, একটু কমবে, এইভাবে হবে, হবে, বাট ইটস নট ভেরি গুড এফিশিয়েন্ট ওয়ান. ক্লামজি. Actually, do you know how the coal is burnt into thermal power plant? কি করে কয়লা জ্বালানো হয় জানো? কয়লাটাকে ফার্স্ট পাউডার করা হয়. It is a coal powder, coal dust, not lump of coal. It has got lot of advantages. Clinker formation will be prohibited from the beginning. যদি পাউডার করে দাও তাহলে ক্লিঙ্কার হবে না. And clinker gives block the total furnace inside, so that will not happen. And moreover, first you have to make the powder, and then the powder will be blown by some air thruster, blown inside the furnace. ফার্নেসের মধ্যে ওটাকে উড়িয়ে ঢুকিয়ে দেয়, মানে বেলচা করে কিছু দিয়ে করে না, গুঁড়োটাকে হাওয়া দিয়ে ঢুকিয়ে দিচ্ছে, অ্যান্ড কন্টিনিউসলি ব্লোয়ার দিয়ে ঢুকানো হচ্ছে. মানে এই কোল পাউডার ইজ কন্টিনিউয়াসলি সাপ্লাইড ইন টু দ্য ফার্নেস বাই সাম ব্লোয়ার. এটা এগুলো কী করে বলছি, এগুলো বই লেখা আছে? কোথাও নেই, আমি দেখে এসেছি. কোথায়? মেজিয়া পাওয়ার প্লান্টে ভিজিট করেছি. এটা অ্যাডভান্টেজ হচ্ছে ভিজিটে, এই কত করে বই লেখা থাকে না. কয়লা সাজাও জ্বালিয়ে দেন লেখা আছে, বাকি ডিটেলটা কিছু বলা নেই. কিন্তু বাকি ডিটেলটা তখনই আইডিয়া হবে যদি তুমি নিজের চোখে দেখি. ওগুলো বই কখনো লেখা থাকে না, সেই জন্যই টিচারে ক্লাস করতে হয়, তুমি তো এটা জানতে পারতে না কী করে হয়। কয়লা তোমাদের ধারণা কী ছিল, কয়লা উনুন যেরকম সাজিয়ে ওরকম সাজিয়ে দিল, দিয়ে আগুনটা ধরিয়ে দিল, তাই তো? এখানে কিন্তু তা হয় না। কয়লাটাকে একটা ক্রাশার গ্রাইন্ডারে পাউডার হচ্ছে, গিয়ে হিউজ ডাম্প হয়ে গেছে পাউডার, সেইটাই এক জায়গায় ব্লোয়ার দিয়ে কনস্ট্যান্টলি ব্লো হচ্ছে, সেইটা গিয়ে ফার্নেসের মধ্যে ঢুকছে। ব্লোয়ারটাকে কমিয়ে দাও, কন্ট্রোল হচ্ছে কিছুটা, ব্লোয়ারটা কমিয়ে দাও, কয়লার পাউডারটা কম ঢুকবে, ব্লোয়ারটা বাড়িয়ে দাও, বেশি ঢুকবে, তাহলে টেম্পারেচার বাড়বে কমবে। সো ইট উইল হ্যাভ সার্টেন কন্ট্রোল অ্যাট লিস্ট। Cost of handling high, cost of handling will be high because solid na, so handling cost will be high always. You have to carry it from here and there, conveyor belt banante hobe, you have to make some conveyor belt, so because huge weight, lump sum huge weight, so cost of handling high. Calorific value low, because ash is there, moisture is there, impurity, that's why you will have low calorific value. Excess of air for complete combustion, প্রচুর এক্সট্রা হাওয়া লাগবে, excess of air will be required. Cannot be used as internal combustion engine fuel, you cannot burn it inside a engine. Why? Because ash will be produced, how can you remove that from the inside the engine? So you cannot take this type of clumsy fuel into certain engine which is sophisticated. তোমাকে একটা ওপেন এয়ারে করতে হবে ব্যাপারটা, কেন ছাইটা বার করবে কী করে, প্র্যাকটিক্যাল ডিফিকাল্টি। Liquid fuel advantages, higher calorific value, liquid fuel you have higher calorific value, burn without forming dust, ash, clinker, etc. Less clumsy, simply it is less clumsy. Liquid fuel can be burned quite easily compared to solid fuel, so handling will be easier. Acha, how can you send petroleum from one place to another place? Pipeline, koila pipeline niye pathate parbe, tahle advantage is disadvantage. So pipelines are there in around Bombay. I have seen so many places there are pipelines. So petrol is going by the pipeline. Problem is there. Pipeline may crack, it may break somewhere, leakage may be there, the fire hazard is there, it may catch fire. So once it catches fire, it will be difficult to stop. All these problems are there. Still it is advantageous. Liquid is advantageous compared to solid. But we don't have it, unfortunately. Firing is easier, also fire can be extinguished easily by stopping the liquid fuel supply. कहीं भी तुमको एक stopper रखना है, close the stopper, so petrol supply will be stopped. If there is a fire hazard somewhere, you have so many points where the stopper is kept. So before that particular point where fire is there, so go to the earlier one and stop the supply. So automatically fire will be under control and will stop, because fuel supply will not be there. Achha, have you ever been to any type of training with fire brigade? Fire brigade training কখনো শুনেছো? So you have a triangle ABC, fire, supporter of combustion, combustible fuel, supporter of combustion, and that is the air supply, and ignition temperature. These three things should be required for fire. So if any of this triangle, if anyone is cut out, your circuit is broken and fire will be stopped. You have to break any of the three arm. Triangle matlab three arm, na? You have to break any of the arm. How? Fuel supply, you stop the fuel supply. That is number one. If not possible, fuel supply cannot be possible to stop always. So then you have to reduce the heat below the ignition temperature. You have to make somehow, add water, add something, so that temperature goes below the burning temperature, then it will be stopped. Otherwise you have to stop the air supply. तीनों को मैं एक करना है. Suppose there is a village fire, so what we will do? So if there are a lot of thatched house বুঝো, খড়ের বাড়ি. So if there are a lot of thatched house one after another and very close vicinity, so if the catches fire, it will go one after another. So in between, what people are doing, they break one of the rooftop from any of the building in the middle. Building meaning hut. From any of the thatched house, just remove the rooftop. छत का हटा तो फायर खुद ब खुद बुझ जाएगा, क्योंकि फ्यूल सप्लाई बंद हो गई. दैट इज नंबर वन. दूसरा क्या है, पानी डालते हो ना, दैट इज टू रेज द टेम्पारेचर, गो द टेम्पारेचर बिलो द इग्निशन टेम्पारेचर. टेम्पारेचर नामिয়ে দাও, একবার আগুন নিভে গেলে থেমে গেল, আর জ্বলবে না. আচ্ছা, আর থার্ড অপশন হচ্ছে কি, থার্ড অপশন কি বললাম? হুম, এয়ারটাকে কী করে বন্ধ করবো? সব জায়গায় আছে। তো তার একটা উপায় হচ্ছে, ইউ হ্যাভ টু কাভার দ্য ফায়ার উইথ সার্টিং ফোম, carbon dioxide or some foam you have to apply, so that the cannot come in contact of oxygen. We cannot remove air को तो बंद नहीं कर पाएंगे, लेकिन इतना तो कर सकते कि उसको ढक दे. So that's the thing. So liquid fuel, so many points are there actually. I have discussed enough. Liquid fuel advantages, gaseous fuel advantages. What is the main advantage and disadvantage of gaseous fuels? What is the main advantage and disadvantage of gaseous fuel? Tell me. Any idea?